fire department's house, so he was first on scene. I was second on scene because it's not too far from where I live,
And he's a paramedic, let's say that.
and he's a paramedic.
He's a firefighter also in Salt Lake and works as a paramedic.
So I show up, the car's on fire still, and there's a girl laying, screaming behind the car. And he's throwing snow on it, and the police pulled up right behind me, threw us a couple fire extinguishers, me and him got the fire out. He went to the person in the passenger seat, and he couldn't find a pulse. I mean, he was hustling, bustling, you know, and he's saying, I think he's echoed. And the driver, like, you gotta get an airway on him, because he's just hunched over, bleeding out his head, and you can just hear just struggling to breathe. We couldn't get an airway on him, so we had to just get him out of the car, which, pertaining to class right there is, what's most important is airway. So, we get a C-spine, get him out of the car. We weren't worried about the girl.
What was your C-spine?
Huh?
What was your C-spine? Because I want them to know.
Manual.
So it was manual C-spine. It wasn't the C-collar.
No.
This was manually holding this guy's head.
And, you know, like, in this car, there was no room. That's why we had to get him out, because you couldn't get in the car with him and get it in time to get his airway open, so. And then the other thing that I thought, we weren't worried about the girl, 'cause she's laying there screaming, telling us how bad she hurt. So she's got patented airway.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's not doing that bad as these two guys that are out of it. Shortly after, the fire department shows up, and the EMTs, and by then we'd taken the driver out, had him on the ground, had manual C-spine, and they had a good airway on him, had him on a stretcher, the EMTs were there. We had to cut the other guy out. I mean, it looked like to me the motor was sitting on his lap.
Yeah, you couldn't have got
And
the compartment any closer to him.
yeah, it was full-blown extrication on him, take the roof off, partially roll the dash to get him even out. And Roger was holding his airway the whole time, basically.
Did he have an airway then?
Yeah, he was actually breathing. They called him echo, but an officer found his pulse, and Roger didn't got his airway open and just managed it. The whole time while we're extricating, Roger's taking care of that.
I'm getting all bloody.
Yeah, there was plenty of blood. And once they got the roof off, we slid the backboard behind him and slid him up it. And got him back, and I was holding the stretcher, so his head's right here. And the EMT comes over and checks his eyes. One was dilated about that big, and the other one was the size of a pinhead. So right there I was thinking, he's got head trauma, obviously. Which pertains to class, but I found out tonight that he hasn't had any brain activity since the accident, so.
Did they have their seatbelts on?
He did have a seatbelt on. I believe he's the only one. I don't know
I
about
don't
the
know,
girl, but she was out.
because, so the
driver didn't, because I pulled him out.
all I know is Doug said, to the girl, he said, can you get out?
Yeah, the car's on fire. He says, if you can get out, you need to get out, because I gotta get this fire out.
So,
She was on the back seat.
you're right, mass casualty incident, one person there, got 3 people to deal with, car's on fire, so what do we say? Hey, you come to me, come to me. So he says to this girl, can you get out of the car? She said yes. He used a few adjectives, but he said, then get out of the car, it's on fire. So she crawled out and laid behind the car, as Matt said, so I mean,
And then
self-extrication.
Another one there is, we could get the driver out, because we were able to pry the door open, just a few small handfuls, and swing the door open, and yank him out. And it's like Doug said, if he couldn't got that fire out, his next thing was the girl's out, pull the driver out, passenger's gonna have to burn to, nothing we can do, you know, which goes back in the mass casualty thing, so. Watched him, they tried a OPA, the guy's jaw was locked, couldn't get it, so they had to go with the NPA. Bagged him, I mean, they were bagging everybody but the girl. She was quite upset at the driver, she let everybody know that, which, she was all there, she knew what happened.
What injuries did she have? 'Cause I didn't get to see her.
Broken arms,
I just heard her yelling and screaming, but
her arms were broken as far as I know, and two people ask me, why'd they fly here? Well, obvious mechanism of injury. I mean,
You already got two people that you think's gonna die.
I've got pictures on my phone, but that car was, I don't know, I guess 60, 80 miles an hour. It hit that tree.
What'd they do?
They were rallying.
Okay, so it could have been one of the beer commercials where they